watched players in this league try every trick in the book to rattle Caitlin Clark, but nothing compares to the whispers that came out of the Phoenix locker room, where talk wasn't about playing hard, it was about proving a point, about showing her what the WNBA really is. And you have to wonder, why are people so obsessed with trying to break someone down instead of building themselves up? Sophie Cunningham, the fiery competitor known for her fearless play and relentless energy, had no idea that just moments ago, during what should have been a routine post-game interview, a single comment would flip the entire room's energy on its head. Cameras catching the exact instant her expression changed as a reporter dropped a question so loaded, so cutting, that the crowd collectively froze, unsure if they'd just witnessed an insult, a revelation, or an attempt to undermine everything she's fought for. And as her silence stretched on and the tension thickened, one thing became certain: this wasn't just another question, this was a public challenge to her entire career, and Sophie Cunningham was standing right in the middle of it. The interview that had everyone talking wasn't supposed to be anything more than a typical post-game press conference. Sophie Cunningham had just powered her team to a thrilling victory, playing a huge role on both ends of the court. Her energy had been electric, her focus razor sharp, and the win well earned. The press room was buzzing with excitement, cameras flashing as reporters lined up to get her thoughts on the game, and everyone expected the usual questions about strategy, performance, and what comes next. But then the entire mood shifted when a veteran sports reporter, known for his blunt delivery and sly smirk, leaned forward and, with a tone dripping in condescension, asked, "Sophie, do you think your recent success is more about timing and luck than actual talent?" The words cut through the air like a blade, drawing an audible gasp from the room. It wasn't just the question, it was the way he said it. A delivery that carried more than curiosity, it carried doubt, dismissal, and something almost personal. In that moment, it felt as if he wasn't just questioning her game, he was questioning her entire journey. The years of early mornings, grueling practices, injuries, sacrifices, and battles to earn her place. And for a few seconds, the room fell silent. Every eye locked on Sophie, waiting to see if she would crumble or come back swinging. Sophie, who built her reputation on boldness and fearless confidence, didn't flinch. Her eyes widened just slightly, but her silence spoke louder than any immediate comeback could. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut. Was this man really implying that everything she had worked for, every drop of sweat, every sacrifice, every relentless hour in the gym meant nothing without luck on her side? The moment felt frozen in time, a hush hanging over the crowd as if everyone was holding their breath. But then Sophie gathered herself, and in a voice calm yet razor sharp, she delivered a clapback that instantly flipped the energy. If luck scores points, plays defense, and spends hours grinding in the gym, then yeah, maybe I've been really lucky. But I know exactly who I am, and I know what it took to get here. That's not luck, that's work. The room erupted, reporters scrambling to post her words online. Clips of the exchange spreading like wildfire across social media, fans flooding comment sections to praise her poise under pressure and the truth behind her words. Sports analysts calling it one of the most powerful moments of the season, not just for what she said, but for what it represented. A reminder that women in sports are still constantly forced to defend their skill, their place, and their worth in ways male athletes rarely face. Sophie's words didn't just silence one disrespectful question, they resonated across the league as a bold demand for respect and recognition. From that moment, the focus shifted from the sting of the question to the strength of her response. And to truly understand why Sophie's words hit so hard, you have to know the story that built her into the player she is today. Because her rise to basketball stardom wasn't some lucky break. It was the result of years of grit and grind that started far from the bright lights. In Columbia, Missouri, a small town where dreams were big but spotlights were rare, Sophie wasn't the tallest. She wasn't the most physically intimidating, but the fire in her heart burned hotter than anyone else's. Basketball wasn't just a sport for her, it was the pulse of her life. And from the moment she picked up a ball, she threw herself into the game with a determination most people couldn't even understand. While others played for fun, she was training before school, after school, and whenever she could, chasing a vision only she could see. By the time she arrived at Rockbridge High School, her name was already creating a buzz. On the court, she was fast, fearless, and magnetic. She didn't just play, she changed the entire energy of the game, lifting her teammates, electrifying the fans, and turning every matchup into a must-see event. People came not just to watch basketball, but to watch Sophie. And when she stepped on the floor, it felt like something special was about to happen. She broke records, collected championships, and redefined what dominance looked like at the high school level. And yet, through all the attention, she stayed grounded. Still that small town girl with a big dream, only now her game was sharper, smarter, and more explosive. Proving that greatness isn't handed to you, it's built shot by shot, sweat by sweat, in the quiet hours when no one's watching. When it came time to choose her next step, Sophie made a move that surprised many. She stayed close to home and committed to the University of Missouri. And what followed wasn't just a college career, it was a transformation of the entire program. From her very first game in the black and gold, she brought more than skill, she brought a swagger and fire that demanded attention. She didn't just blend into the roster, she became the heartbeat of the team. Game after game, she stacked points, rebounds, assists, and steals. But the numbers only told part of the story. It was the way she carried herself, the confident stare-downs, the fearless drives, the clutch shots that made every arena feel electric. Sophie wasn't just playing basketball, she was putting on a show, and opponents knew they were in for a fight the moment she stepped on the court. Off the stat sheet, she was just as powerful, using her voice to lead, to call out what needed to change, and to challenge outdated ideas of what a female athlete should be. That boldness drew criticism from some, but admiration from many more, and love her or hate her, nobody could ignore her. By the time she left Mizzou, she wasn't just the all-time leading scorer. She was a living symbol of the program's identity. Bold, unapologetic, and fiercely competitive. Her legacy woven into the school's history, not just for the points she scored, but for the fearless way she played the game and the unshakable standards she left behind. The next chapter of her story came in 2019 when the WNBA draft put her on a new stage and the Phoenix Mercury selected her 13th overall. A moment that should have been pure celebration, but came with a wave of questions from analysts and fans, wondering if her fiery college game would translate to a league stacked with legends and elite talent. People doubted her defense, questioned her consistency, and whispered that she might fade into the background on a roster already loaded with stars like Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner. But Sophie wasn't there to blend in. She came in ready to fight for her place. And from day one, she showed that she belonged, bringing relentless energy every time she stepped on the floor. Whether she was starting or coming off the bench, turning her so-called weaknesses into strengths, and making her three-point shot something opponents had to respect, she soaked up every lesson from the veterans around her while refusing to be just a supporting act. Season by season, she evolved more confident, more composed, more dangerous until 2022, when she broke out in a way nobody could ignore, transforming from a role player into a genuine threat, forcing teams to game plan for her, flipping doubters into believers, and proving that her place in the WNBA wasn't given to her, it was earned with grit, growth, and an unshakable will to rise. By the time she joined the Indiana Fever, Sophie Cunningham wasn't just a player, she was a brand in motion. Her reputation as Caitlin Clark's fearless defender during a heated game earlier in the season had already gone viral, turning her into one of the most talked about names in women's basketball, and she wasted no time capitalizing on that momentum, locking in a podcast deal with The Volume founded by sports talk giant Colin Cowherd, alongside longtime friend and Bravo's Summer House star Wes Wilson, promising weekly episodes packed with sports, entertainment, and lifestyle conversations that show off her unfiltered personality. Brands lined up fast, with Ring tapping into her protector image for a clever ad campaign, Arby's adding her to their roster, and Adidas sealing her as one of their athletes. Her follower count exploded past 1 million on both TikTok and Instagram, fueled by her mix of humor, authenticity, and competitive fire. And while she was building her media empire off the court, she was still producing on it, playing 21 games in her first Fever season, starting in 4, and averaging 7.5 points with 3.9 rebounds. Numbers that don't tell the full story of her leadership, energy, and the spark she brings every time she checks in, proving she's just as valuable for the culture and chemistry she creates as she is for the points she scores. Sophie Cunningham's influence now stretches far beyond the hardwood, because to countless young girls across the country, she's not just a WNBA player, she's proof that passion, grit, and self-belief can carve a path to the top. They wear her jersey not only for the points she scores, but for the way she carries herself, diving for loose balls, talking her talk, smiling after draining a clutch 3, and showing that authenticity and boldness can exist side by side. Whenever she steps into an arena, the atmosphere shifts, fans lean forward, commentators sharpen their tone, and there's a sense that something worth watching is about to happen. But her story isn't just about the highlight moments. It's about the grind that got her here, growing up in Columbia, Missouri, dominating high school, rewriting Mizzou's record books, overcoming every doubt thrown her way, and turning criticism into fuel. She's been knocked down by injuries, targeted by opponents, and underestimated by outsiders. Yet every time she's gotten back up stronger, her resilience becoming her greatest weapon. And in a league where competition is brutal and visibility is still growing, Sophie has made herself impossible to ignore, not by playing safe, but by playing with her whole heart. Loud when she needs to be, quiet when it matters, and always unapologetically herself. And the most exciting part is that her journey is far from over, because every goal she hasn't hit yet isn't a question mark, it's a target. And you can bet she's already locked in on the next one. Sophie Cunningham isn't just building a career, she's crafting a legacy that won't fade when the final buzzer sounds. A legacy that echoes through arenas, inspires the next generation, and cements her as one of the defining personalities of women's basketball. Every dribble, every shot, every roar of the crowd adds another layer to her story, and she's making sure the game can't forget her, not for the points alone, but for the unapologetic way she's lived every moment of it. She's a competitor, a leader, a brand, and a symbol of what's possible when talent meets relentless drive. And as she keeps pushing forward on the court, in media, in business, one thing is certain: Sophie Cunningham isn't just part of the WNBA, she's shaping its future. So the question isn't whether she'll be remembered, it's how big her impact will be when her story is finally told in full. But for now, her journey is still being written, and the best chapters are yet to come. So what do you think about Sophie Cunningham's rise and the achievements that have earned her so much respect? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss the next big moment in her incredible story.